The book of Job is often considered to be the oldest book in the Bible. The problem with that, of course, is that the book of Job is clearly composite. You have this incredible archaic poetry, or poetry that appears archaic anyway. It can be quite complicated and difficult to understand at times, but you have this poetry in the middle, which comprises most of the book. But at the beginning and at the end of the book, you have these prose sections, normal narrative sections, which introduce and conclude the book. So clearly, the book doesn't come from one period and place. A body of poetry has been taken and then put into a distinct context by the narratives that have been placed at either side. Now, the poetry relates to the story of a man called Job, fits into a typical ancient Near Eastern motif of the righteous sufferer. And we have such things in Sumerian and other ancient languages. This is a well-known main. It goes back to the questions of what is the point of life? Why does life suck? And how do we deal with this? And something very interesting helps us to date when that could come from. At the beginning of the book, some of Job's household are ravaged by raiders known as the Chaldeans. Now, around the 6th century, the Chaldeans are an amazing empire, feared throughout the Near East and famed for how great their cavalry were, etc. Nebuchadnezzar was a very famous Chaldean monarch. So the Chaldeans of the 6th century do not sound like the Chaldeans of the book of Job. Later on, the Chaldeans is a way of referring to people who were famed astronomers, famed diviners, famed soothsayers, who could read omens. Again, nothing like what we have in the book of Job. So in the book of Job, we have a reference to the Chaldeans, which is clearly antique. It predates the other two uses by some centuries. It refers back to way back when the Chaldeans were nomadic raiders, hadn't achieved nationhood. So it sets the context of the book of Job way back in antiquity. But when we come to the way the narrative is contextualized by the prose sections at the beginning and at the end, we come to the end of the book of Job, and the Lord is said to, if I remember rightly, the phraseology is return or turn around the captivity of Job. And so at some point after the Babylonian exile, Jewish sages took the story of Job and turned Job into a metaphor for the Jewish nation and their sufferings. And Job's restoration was an expression of future hope that God is able to restore the Jewish nation just like he restored Job. So the story of Job, like the Bible, has gone through a long process. It's been written, it's been contextualized, and there's a reception history associated with it.